Hey y'all, Michelle Raza here with the Finding Yourself Book Club, and today we're going to switch gears just a little bit. We're going to pop in the 7 principles of making marriage work. If you've been following along on this other book, What Makes Love Last by John Gottman, both are Gottman books, I mentioned that we were talking about the 4 principles of attunement. So how do you attune to your partner and connect in a way that's fruitful and so that you can talk through your issues and all of that good stuff. So within this book, The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work, John Gottman talks about the stress reducing conversation. So I want to take some time and dive into this, give you a sneak peek. We can always come back to it later, right, if I cover this book, but I think it's really relevant to the principles of attunement, and it kind of goes a little bit deeper than just the 4 overarching levels that he talked about, which if you would like a review, sorry to keep flipping books on you, but if you'd like a review, it is first, feeling your feelings, put your feelings into words. Second, asking open-ended questions, so not anything that can be answered with yes, no, good, bad. Follow up with statements that deepen connection, and then express compassion and empathy. So before I get started on this, please, if you haven't had a chance, please check out our website. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. There you can fill out our life balance questionnaire and send it to us in an email. You can also just email us, call, or text us to set up your first free appointment. We'd love to talk to you. It's Penny Warner, and then myself, Michelle Raza. So, okay, without further ado, John Gottman's The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. And we're going to talk about the stress-reducing conversation. Although you can earn points in your emotional bank account through just about any everyday activity listed above, we have found that the most effective one is the first. Reunite at the end of the day and talk about how it went. This is because such discussions can be vital stress reducers that help you manage tensions outside your relationship. Learning to cope with these external pressures is crucial to a marriage's long-term health, according to research by Neil Jacobson. Many couples automatically have this "how was your day, dear?" conversation, perhaps at the dinner table or after the kids fall asleep. But too often, their discussion does not help either of them relax. Instead, it increases their stress levels because they end up feeling frustrated with each other for not really listening. If that's the case between you and your partner, changing your approach to these catch-up conversations can ensure that they do indeed help you both unwind. For starters, think about the timing of the chat. Some people want to unburden themselves when they're barely through the door, but others need to decompress on their own for a while before they're ready to interact. Be aware of the ideal timing for each of you so that you're both in the mood to talk. On a typical day, spend 20 to 30 minutes on this conversation. The cardinal rule is that you talk about whatever is on your mind outside your marriage. This is not the time to discuss any conflicts between you two. Instead, it's an opportunity to support each other emotionally concerning other areas in your lives. This exercise is really a form of active listening in which you respond to each other's venting with empathy and without judgment. Since the griping isn't about each other or your marriage, it's much easier to express support and understanding. Sometimes your end-of-the-day discussion will be about celebrating good news, like a mini victory in parenting or at work. In such cases, active listening means sharing and relishing the moment with your partner. Often, however, these conversations are opportunities to unload about minor or sometimes major irritants or problems. If there's a silver lining to your partner's sadness, fear, or anger, it is that by listening to it, you strengthen the trust between you two. Experiences that generate the most negative emotions also have the capacity to build the strongest bonds. In some cases, one or both partners finds it uncomfortable to discuss each other's feelings. Often, this uneasiness is rooted in childhood prohibitions against expressing negative emotions. If this is the case in your marriage, see Coping with Your Partner's Sadness, Fear, and Anger on page 103. Here are detailed instructions for using active listening during the stress-reducing conversation. Excuse me. 1. Take turns. I'm just going to go top level here, and then in the next video, I will start going into more details. Hold on, give me a second. Take turns. Show genuine interest. Don't give unsolicited advice. Communicate your understanding. I can't turn pages today. Take your partner's side. Express a we against others attitude. Show affection. Validate emotions. Okay? So I think I have a little bit of time. I'll go into it. 1. Take turns. Each partner gets to be the complainer for 15 minutes. I don't know about you guys, but I've been in relationships where my partner gets to complain, but I don't. And that really doesn't feel good. So really taking turns and making sure that you give as well as get that emotional support is very important. 2, show genuine interest. Don't let your mind or eyes wander. Stay focused on your partner. Ask questions, make eye contact, nod, say uh-huh, and so on. So nowadays with technology, this book was originally written, when? 1980 something, I think? Oh, 1999. So I guess there were smartphones in 1999, but it wasn't as prevalent as now. So the showing genuine interest part, I think you need to have this conversation be a no phones conversation. The phones need to be put away. You need to be focused on each other. No devices, no iPads, no TV, no television on, nothing. I mean, you need to just be with each other. And if this is a dinner time conversation and the kids are there too, the no phones at the table rule should apply as well. It needs to be where you guys are focused on each other. Okay. That was show genuine interest. Now, don't give unsolicited advice. So if you were on the last video, I very slowly and dramatically read this 3 times because it's super duper important and also very hard to practice. Don't give unsolicited advice. When someone you love expresses pain, it is natural to want to fix the problem or make the person feel better. But oftentimes, your spouse isn't asking you to come up with a solution at all. Just to be a good listener or offer a ready shoulder to cry on. So, unless your partner has specifically asked for help, don't try to fix the problem, change how your partner feels, or rescue him or her. Instead, your motto should be, don't do something, just be there. I see the fallout from unsolicited advice all the time in my work with couples. For example, Carrie was unhappy that her husband, Jeff, never shared his inner world with her. To find out what was happening between them, I had them carry out a stress-reducing conversation in my presence. Jeff began to complain about a difficult person he had to contend with at his volunteer work. Carrie immediately said, I told you to resign from that job. It's too much stress for you. Jeff stopped talking and Carrie turned to me. You see how he clams up? What did I tell you? I suggested they have the conversation again, but I instructed Carrie not to offer any advice this time. Instead, she simply asked Jeff to tell her what made this person so insufferable. Eventually, Jeff opened up, and they had a conversation that was satisfying to both of them. Although this has changed somewhat over the years, I still find that in heterosexual couples, it tends to be the husband who gets caught up in trying to solve his partner's problems. These men are often relieved when I tell them that it is not their responsibility to rescue their partner. In fact, such attempts to save her tend to backfire. When a wife shares her troubles, She usually reacts very negatively if her husband tries to give her advice right away. Instead, she wants to hear that he understands and feels compassion. I'm not suggesting that it's never appropriate to problem solve when your partner is upset. But to paraphrase psychologist Haim Ginot, the cardinal rule is understanding must precede advice. You have to let your partner know that you fully understand and empathize with the dilemma. Only then will he or she be receptive to suggestions. So that's 1 through 3 of the tips that Gottman has for the stress reducing conversation. And the next video will continue covering these steps. So communicating, understanding, taking your partner's side, expressing a we against others attitude, showing affection, and validating emotions. And we'll see how long we can get before the timer finishes up on us and we have to stop. So if you haven't checked out our website, please do so. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. I would love to have a conversation with you, and I look forward to talking with you tomorrow.